What is up, coordinators and naturals? I am just a simple Newtype. And in this episode, we're returning to Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Astray, Princess of the Sky. Last time, Lath and Kazahana learned that they were chosen by Mina, but don't initially accept her offer. The two girls head to Earth where they meet Elsa and Dante. And we met Fairness and his new Lord Astray. This time, Fairness trains with Kate Madigan. Weird things happen around Ame no Mihashira, and Lowe loses one of his precious weapons. So let's get into this. Fairness is working with both Plant and the Alliance to learn more about Evidence 1. Oh, so now you remember that there were aliens in this universe. Fukuda straight up dropped this plot point. They're transporting Evidence 1 to DSSD. Lowe and the Junk Guild was hired to help out. Lowe is using his powered red. Bernadette is interviewing Fairness. Lath asked Mina if Fairness could go on his journey, and Kazahana tags along. Part of Lowe's team are the Lilies in what looks like the Raysta space version, but with the Gundam head. Kisato tells the Lilies to shut up and get back to work. In the distance is just Rabble and the Outframe D. The container starts taking off. Yoon says that it is the autopilot and tries to stop it. Lowe says, "Don't worry guys, I got my trusty 150 Gerbera straight. Nothing could go wrong while using a giant sword." 8 can't pinpoint the exact location of Evidence 8 on the ship. Luckily, Jess has been watching and knows its exact location. He sends the data to Lowe, who slices through the ship and grabs the container with Evidence 1. But the ship is still speeding up, and Yoon and the others are still on it. The ship is heading straight for the plants. Zaft will destroy it if it gets too close. All the Lilies work together to fling the red frame. The mobile suit catches up to the container ship, and he punches it out of its trajectory away from Zaft. "Goodbye, Yoon. Liam will pick you up wherever you end up landing. Good luck." Fairness is amazed by the red frame, but he also seems to want to put a leash on it. At a random colony, Fairness is fighting against Kate Madigan and his Testament Gundam. Jess is getting some shots of the two. Fairness begged Kate to train with him and eventually accepted. He says that a pro would have a hard time keeping up with Fairness, but he wants to get faster. Lath and Kazahana are still following Fairness around. Everyone is very intrigued about the two princesses. Kate's house consists of his own personal hangar. In the hangar, we see a Zaku Phantom or Zaku Warrior, a Force Impulse, a Zoot, and either a Dagger or Dagger L, since Lath knows how to pilot. Fairness suggests that she spar against Kate. She realizes that Kazahana is being left out, so she asks if he has a Legao. That way Kazahana can be the co-pilot. Kate says it's in Hangar 3. How many hangars does he have? Kate is loaded. Oh, Mattias and the clan definitely paid him to keep his mouth shut. What did bro see? Jess asks Fairness why he fights since he is a politician. He enjoys it, but the official reason is that he must protect himself. Jess finds this quite sad. Lath, Kazahana, and Fairness are all taking off. Their battle already happened and they lost to Kate. The two girls are getting close enough to throw shade at Jess, but their observations are spot on. Look, until the story tells me otherwise, I assume these two are more than just good friends. Anyways, cut to the next scene where Kate is wearing a robe around Jess. Good friends. Jess is really curious about Fairness. He says that he seems like the person that carries a lot of burdens, and people like that go from humanitarian to dictator real fast. Jess decides to hire Kate once again as his bodyguard. The professor tells AI George Glenn that the attack the other day was a little off. If it were terrorists, they would have left their mark, but there were no traces of interference. She thinks someone wanted to have Evidence 1 destroyed. If this did happen, Zaft would lose their anchor, which could quite possibly cause another war. There was a bigger conspiracy at play here. They just need to make sure Lowe is prepared. Suddenly, they get a call from Lowe telling them that the 150 Gerbera was destroyed. Jess gets word that something is happening at Ame no Mihashira, and Lowe is involved. He wants to go check it out. Jess's hunches are usually correct. They make it to Ame no Mihashira to find Mina in an Izumo-class ship. She tells the two to come on board the ship, where they find Lowe and Kisato. He tells them the whole story. We flash back to Lowe and the gang helping out Kobayashi Maru. Things were going fine until suddenly Ame no Mihashira begins rotating fast. Apparently it spins like the Space Needle. Lowe used the 150 Gerbera and jammed it into the power unit, but it caused the sword to shatter and it flung the red frame into the debris field. Lowe was able to save Ame no Mihashira, but they have no clue what caused it. The rehome carries the 150, so Lowe carried the whole thing here on his own. He said he wanted to show off to Kobayashi Maru, but he says that he never told him this. Someone was planning this, and they didn't want Ame no Mihashira destroyed. They wanted the 150 destroyed. Lowe doesn't get it because he'll just end up fixing it. Perhaps someone is trying to plan ahead. Fairness is confused about Lath's intention with her family's company. If she is committed to Mina, then it would seem like taking back WWK would be more of a burden. She says perhaps, but it is something she must carry out. She's going to do both to prove her worth. The company is significantly weaker than it once was. She shows him her new business proposal that that she was working on while in prison. Fairness gets a phone call and learns of the situation with Amino Mihashira. The girls have to go back. Kazuhana calls in Serpentail to help investigate. The Junkyll learns of someone being sent to guard Lowe. That is when Elijah comes in. They think having him as a bodyguard is overkill, but he isn't there for them. He is here because Kazuhana sent them. Heading to their location is the Ortegia Kai, which I assume is the Gundam Seed Destiny refit of the Agamemnon class ship. It happens to be Kennard Parnes. Socius informs Mina of the girls' return. She wants to divert them as it isn't safe just yet. She will send someone special. They head to the Earth Alliance Territory Special Industrial District Fairness 14 building. That's too many words for a building. Kazuhana tells Lath that Elijah is quite the snack. She is still worried about her company, but Kazuhana tells her to put more faith in Fairness. That is when the girls meet with Gina. Of course, this is the carbon human of Gina. Even though he's a clone, he still has the memories of meeting with Lath and feels the need to protect her. Kazuhana tells her about their run-in with the carbon human Gina and how he desires revenge against Guy. Gina says to Kazuhana, "So, how's Guy these days?" If Lath learns her teammate killed Gina, it might hurt their relationship. With Gina is finished Socius and Il de Yarar, which we haven't seen since Gundam Seed Destiny Astray. That is when Jess and Kate walk in. Kate recognizes Il as his former comrade from the circus. The circus is a mysterious place that these two trained, and there isn't much about it. The two instantly begin arguing with one another. Fairness tells them of the shareholders meeting with WWK coming up that will make a good story for Jess. We cut to the shareholders meeting where Lath shows the documents that give the Alliance control of the company, but it was signed using her father's thumbprint by force. But they have proof this wasn't true. They have footage of their mansion which shows her father signing away his company in his final moments. This is when Fairness steps in. Kennard acts more like a training partner than a guard. Fairness tells them that the Alliance contract stipulates that the company will always go to Lath no matter how long they try to hold on to their power. They show the board Lath's business plan. This company needs to return to helping all of society, and not just the Alliance if they want to return to the old ways. Fairness is able to get the board members on board with Lath's business plan. Everyone praises Kazuhana for helping Lath during the meeting. They're making it like she played a vital role, but all she says was you could do it like a 90s Adam Sandler movie. They are suddenly chased by mobile suits. If the Alliance kills Lath, then they don't have to hand over the company. Gina says that his peeps will handle it. Soaring through the skies, Finis and the Hail Buster riding the Proto-Savior, piloted by Il. We've seen both of these units in action in Destiny Astray and Versus Astray. Finis is supposed to run support, but the two end up fighting with one another. Foot soldiers stop the car, but Gina handles business with his third eye. Lath watches her hero act like a psychopath. At Amino Mihashira, mobile suits approach. These are the space-type mass-produced Hyperions. The mass production Hyperion space type is similar to Hyperion G, but it has two Amir Lumiere shields in the backpack, with support units having the full 360 shield. Weapons appear the same as Hyperion G. The designation for this unit is unknown. Of course, Kennard was the pilot of the original Hyperion Gundam. This triggers his PTSD with his best buddy Prayer, and it causes him to rage out. Hyperion goes down, but not by Kennard. It is Guy in the blue frame. Guy can't penetrate their shield, so instead he pushes the Hyperion into their ship, causing both to explode. It was the Eurasian Federation. They end up retreating. Kennard is here to protect Lowe, which means Guy was hired by the plants. He is here to take Lowe to the plants, but Kennard won't let him. Guy mentions that Lowe's sword was made of rare metals. Once it was broken, by Junker Law, it made the sword junk, and thus fair game. People out here using Junker Law for nefarious purposes. You don't mess with Junker Law. Lath and Kazuhana ski in the Scandinavian mountains just like Lath did before she moved to Orb. The two think the other will be the Princess of the Sky. They make a promise to be friends no matter who is chosen. Lath has a hunch that perhaps Fairness is behind all the weird things happening recently. She says there is a sadness about him. Lath trips in the Lagao but is saved by Gina in the Mirage frame, who is guarding the two. It appears that Mina has made her decision. She has chosen a princess. Lowe, Kennard, and Elijah end up going to the plants while Guy stays with Mina. She tells him that she has made her choice. The princess in the sky will be Kazuhana. We are teased a new white frame. And that will do it for this episode. Weird events have been taking place since Fairness has made his appearance. Is he the one responsible for all of this? And if so, what's his endgame? Also, the artist gave Fairness a mole. If he ends up being a mole, that'll be so on the nose. Next time, Kazuhana is given a mobile suit as the new princess. Guy challenges her to test her strength. Gina ends up fighting Guy once again, and Lath learns that Guy killed the real Gina. But that will do it for now, Newtypes. Remember, you can't steal a sword, but you can break it and claim ownership under Junker Law. Peace.